Haram bint Milhan. Haram was the first Ansari woman to accept Islam and also to announce it. She was known for being wise, balanced in mind, God-fearing, just and pious. She was from a noble family. Her sister was Sulaim, the mother of Anas bin Malik. Her first marriage was to Amr bin Qais bin Zayd, and together they had two sons, Qais ibn Amr bin Qais and Abdullah bin Amr. Both her husband Amr and son Qais were martyred at the Battle of Badr. Later she married Ubadah bin Samit, a distinguished general of the Muslim army. Ubadah bin Samit was a loving father to Abdullah ibn Amr, her son from her previous marriage. And your Lord has decreed that you not worship except him, and to parents good treatment. Whether one or both of them reach old age while with you, say not to them so much as uff, and do not repel them, but speak to them a noble word. And lower to them the wing of humility out of mercy and say, My Lord, have mercy upon them as they brought me up when I was small. Surah Al-Isra 23 and 24. We don't give birth to our parents. Our relationship with our parents and their relationship with our children. The grandparent, parent, grandchild paradigm. We don't give birth to our parents is a thought that came to my mind when reflecting on the relationships between parent and child. Similar to the saying, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. What I mean by saying we don't give birth to our own parents is basically that we can't control what they say or do because we didn't raise them and we didn't have a hand in raising them. It's the other way round. They are the ones responsible for us being here. In any normal situation would have raised us. Furthermore, our relationship with them will have a bearing on how we raise our children in numerous ways. They are an example to us, good or bad, of what a parent should or shouldn't be. Their presence or absence may have some bearing on how our children learn to interact with the older generation. How our children see us interact with them is a living example of a parent-child relationship that our children may copy. Some of us are extremely fortunate to have reasonable and level-headed parents who will respect our choices and decisions in life and will give us the support that we need as single Muslim mothers. However, for some of us, this may not be the case. For example, some sisters may have struggled previously in bad marriages for longer than they should have, due to the advice of their parents to just stay and be patient. Then after a divorce takes place, those same parents then shun their own daughter for bringing shame to the family. Unfortunately, we have a lot of that in our Muslim cultures, and this can make life as a single Muslim mother extremely difficult because the very people who you should be able to turn to for support may not accept you for being a divorcee. Having any kind of fractured relationship with our parents is not only difficult to live with and have a positive relationship with, but it could also be, in many cases, the root of many relationship issues in our lives. A lot of us end up in bad marriages or choosing the wrong partner because of how we perceive ourselves due to our upbringing. We may not have a very good understanding of who we are, and in turn, who will be compatible with us. If we are accustomed to being mistreated or abused by parents or other close family members, we may have become immune to it in the sense that we don't notice when other people come into our lives exhibiting toxic behavior and traits. Sometimes we are drawn to or attract the wrong kind of people into our lives because we have become sympathizers of particular characteristics because they are similar to those of our parents. Then there are those of us who married men that our parents chose for us. They came highly recommended. Perhaps they ticked all the right boxes from our parents' point of view. Our parents, whom we hope have the best of intentions for us, sometimes fall short and may use the marriages of their children for their own personal benefits. Whatever the relationship with our parents is, they are still our parents. They are still intricately involved in our lives. Then navigating our relationship with them as their child while raising children of our own will require a level of balance and clear boundaries. Your parents will no doubt have their own ideas and advice as to how you should raise your children, and for the most part, hopefully, they will let you get on with it. However, it's important to actively listen to their advice carefully and apply what is beneficial to your situation. They won't always be right in what they advise you, but you won't always be right either. So even if you don't have the best relationship with your parents, try to listen to their advice patiently. If you don't agree, respectfully tell them thank you, but you will make your own decisions. Let them know that you appreciate their advice and support. If you do have your parents close to you, then most likely you will need their help from time to time, even if it's just to take the kids so you can get a bit of a break. If you have the kind of parents that are forceful in their opinions or just disrespectful, and worse off, criticize you in front of your children, then you will need to keep a respectful distance. This means that you maintain contact with them that is healthy for both of you. Call them and check up on them, but don't get too involved. Yes, we need to respect our parents and treat them well, but it doesn't mean that they have to be intricately entwined in our lives, especially if they have unhealthy behavior. It's hard enough raising our own children and being able to monitor or control what they say and do. So what can we expect from our parents? We can't control them. We should also bear in mind that most likely we will also share similar traits with them. And whatever they say or do to you that we find irritating or don't like, take notes and save it for later, because in the future, we could end up doing the same thing to our kids and frustrating the heck out of them. Remember, history repeats itself, especially when the lessons of the past have not been learned. We are a product of our parents, and our children are products of us and their father. The reality is, we can only change ourselves, and in being a parent and trying to better oneself, we can and should inspire our children to do the same. That way, we really can influence them to become a better next generation. We should also bear in mind that we are playing the long game. That's what raising children is about. It's not a 5-minute, quick fix and success or failure. It's a slow, consistent, gradual grind that we really have to stick at. But we need to stick to our vision, have clear goals, and take steps to achieve them. Yes, I'm talking about this as a project because that's what it is. The project of raising children. Building the next generation of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we must succeed. Even if our parents are the ones that are our biggest critics, we should hold our head up. We know that as parents we don't know everything. Likewise, our parents don't know everything either, even when they think that they do. Just be polite with them and move on. If you happen to be living with toxic parents, then I pray for your sanity and the sake of your children that you are able to move into your own space soon. There's really nothing worse than living in a space with people who are not on the same page as you and make you feel that everything that you do is wrong or that you are not good enough. I know that not all parents are like that, but if your parents are, then you need to try your best in the situation that you're in. I know sometimes people have to live with their parents for economic reasons, or maybe they are living in your house. We need to keep the peace and also our sanity intact. I find it quite funny and even sweet how the parents that often made our life a misery can turn out to be the sweetest of grandparents, doting and showing so much love and care to their precious grandchildren, spoiling them and ready to do anything for them. This is definitely something that should be cherished and nurtured if the opportunity is there, but there is a line that needs to be drawn. Family is a blessing in one way or another, even if we don't always see it or can't stand them sometimes. And you know what? If we are really unfortunate enough to have a really toxic and damaged family, not only do we need to protect our kids from them, but also make sure that we don't end up damaging our kids in the same way. Patience with parents is a must. This is one of the most challenging things we can sometimes face as adult Muslims, being in the middle. If our parents are still alive and we also have children, which makes us both a parent and a child simultaneously. Another issue is that as human beings, once we get to a certain age, we become almost like children again in our wants, impulsiveness, no filter attitude and talk. Many of our parents are at this stage in one way or another. Being in the middle is extremely challenging. We are trying to raise our children well and to show respect to our elders, while at the same time, the very people that we need to show respect and love may not seem to be showing us respect and love in return. This can make it hard for us to sometimes show that respect and love that is due. It's really hard if our mum or dad annoys us by saying something insensitive or just disrespectful, because of course they feel they have the right to say anything that they want. They may even do that in front of our children, which makes it 100 times worse. Then we try to keep our cool or totally lose our rag or something in between, all the while who is watching? The children, of course, unfortunately. It's such a difficult path to tread. However we treat or talk to our parents, our children are learning from us firsthand how they will treat us, because we are their first example. The best thing for us to do is to take time and sit with our parents and talk about how they treat us. This is in itself very difficult, but we can only try. I did this not so long ago with my dad. He's West African, so he's all about respect for elders. Basically had a situation where every time I called my son to do one of his chores, my dad would step in and say, "No, it's okay, son, I'll do it." This really started getting on my nerves because he was taking away a responsibility that I was giving my son. I also felt disrespected that my dad was taking away my authority. So one morning, my dad wanted to talk to me about something, and the issue of respect came up. I took this opportunity to use this as a window to talk to him. He was basically complaining to me that he had told my son to do something, and then my mum had stepped in and told my son that it was okay and to leave it because she would do it. Of course, I didn't agree with that, but then I used the opportunity to point out that he does exactly the same thing to me all the time. He wasn't happy that I had pointed this out, of course, but I spoke to him in a reasonable and respectful way. I explained to him how it felt every time I would tell my son to do something and he would jump in. I could see by the look on his face that it hadn't occurred to him at all that he was doing that, and he said that he hadn't meant that and had just wanted to help, as he thought he could do a better job than my son. So, I suggested to him a compromise. Instead of doing the chores for my son, why doesn't he do them with him? That way he could show him the best way to do it and also be spending time with his precious grandson. And you know what? It worked, alhamdulillah. Toxic parents. Some of us have been tested with extremely toxic parents. What I'm learning as I grow older is that life is too short to argue with people. Not arguing does not mean that we should give in to people. It just means that we don't waste our time banging our heads against a brick wall. Two types of people you should never argue with: your parents and the fool. Allah tells us in the Quran that we shouldn't even say uff to our parents. He also tells us that the servants of the merciful are those that, when the ignorant address them, they say peace, peace. It's really difficult to do, but once we keep reminding ourselves of how short life is and that none of us will be around for much longer, it makes it a little easier to just stay silent and bite your tongue. The reality is, in the heat of the moment when everyone's desires are kicking in, little or no one is hearing any reason. So it's better to not let your anger get the better of you. Just stay calm and at the very least silent. Just agree with them. Say, "Okay, mum, okay, dad," and walk away. Once we do that, there isn't anything left for them to argue with, because we are not arguing and Allah is the witness. Sometimes our difficult parents that we had a hard time growing up with can be such easygoing, sweet and most caring grandparents. Subhanallah. I do believe that grandchildren are the key to our parents' hearts, especially when we raise them well. Young children may get away with being rude at times because it's seen as funny and cute, but a teenager or older child won't. It's just rude and disrespectful. The last thing we want is for our children to fall from grace in the eyes of our parents. We need to make sure to raise our children to show respect to their elders. You may think this to be old-fashioned, but it's our deen. While our parents may very well refuse to listen to our opinions and ideas, they are a lot more receptive to their grandchildren. Many of them believe their grandchildren to be more clever and more intelligent than we were as children. If we are clever and raise our children well, they can bridge the gap between us and our parents. What I mean by this is that our parents, even though many of them may never admit it, will learn to love and appreciate us more because of how well we raise and work hard for our children, their grandchildren. Also, as they dote on and show love for their grandchildren, we should do our best to show how happy it makes us and encourage this relationship. This may sound funny to some, but I see that some mothers get jealous of this relationship and closeness between grandparents and grandchildren at times. It doesn't need to be like that. We have to forgive our parents for what we feel we have missed from them as parents when we were children. We need to free ourselves from the grudges that we may hold towards them for any mistreatment or pain they have caused us growing up. It could be that some of them are too stubborn or come from a culture that apologizing or admitting that they were wrong is just not done. As a result, even if they do feel sorry for their potential shortcomings, they may fail to communicate with us their past regrets. It could be that some of our parents try to make up for their past shortcomings by overcompensating with how they treat their grandchildren. Our parents are a blessing from Allah and even a test. Remember that towards the end of their life, they will naturally become a softer and seemingly more tolerant version of themselves. This may mean a big improvement in your relationship if it was fractured. Try to make the most of it as much as you can. Key takeaways. Do good to your parents, and your children will do good to you. Be the example of birrul walidain, dutifulness to your parents for your children. Don't spite your children to upset your parents either. You may have a fractured relationship with your parents, while at the same time your parents have a special bond with your children. You may even feel like your children show more respect to your parents and listen to them over you. Don't let the shaitan trick you into playing malicious or psychological warfare. Your children are not tools or weaponry to retaliate against your parents or anyone else. They are individual beings who also have to honor the ties of kinship. Be fair and just. Don't be jealous of the relationship that your children may have with your parents. Remember, your parents are there to help you and should want the best for you and your children. Accept this help and make the most of it because they won't be around forever. Don't make your children suffer or punish them because your parents may have done that to you. Be the change. You can help break any generational trauma if you first accept that you have issues from your childhood and address them. Use this awareness to put yourself in the shoes of your children so that you don't repeat the mistakes of the past. This is what conscious parenting is about.